Hey, what's up? It's Steve. Now, this is sort of like a response video to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, is one of the biggest NBA analysts in the world. I really look up to him. But anyway, as a fellow New York fan, I would like to just respond to what you have been saying about Carmelo Anthony. And pretty much what this whole drama that's surrounding Melo is right now is that Carmelo Anthony said something sort of like, I'm just going to try and quote him. It's probably not the exact words, but he said, I'll still be satisfied even if I don't win an NBA ring because I can potentially have 3 Olympic gold medals. I dominated in high school, I dominated in the NCAA, I won a championship for Syracuse, and I dominated at the NBA level. And Stephen A. Smith and the new guy on First Take, who, by the way, is doing a really good job. He's really entertaining to watch, and he has some really good things to say. I don't like what he says about Melo, but it's all good. Anyway, so Melo said he'd still be satisfied even if he didn't win an NBA ring. And you have to understand, there's 2 things that I want to talk about first. First off, let's look at Carmelo Anthony's career, and any basketball player in the world would be satisfied with that. 3 Olympic gold medals. Obviously he didn't win the his third yet, but he's the leading scorer in Olympic Team USA history. He's going to have 3 Olympic gold medals. He has 2 right now. He's one of the most dominant scorers in NBA history. He's one of the most consistent scorers in NBA history. He's an NBA all-time great. And to sit there and for people to say, oh, he doesn't care about winning. For example, Stephen A. Smith was saying, oh, Knicks fans have to give back their season tickets. There's no way, you care about winning if you're going to say something like that, which is completely false because think about it from his perspective. Throughout his career, he's only had, 2 or 3 good teams. One in 08-09 when he went to the Western Conference Finals and ultimately lost to Kobe Bryant in the peak of his prime, which also was a really good duel, by the way. Sad we never got to see LeBron versus Kobe. And then also in 2012-2013 when the Knicks won 54 games, they had a solid team there. But, besides that, he's never had solid teams, but yet he still led the Denver Nuggets to the playoffs all 7 years. And then when he came to New York, he led them to the playoffs for the majority except the last 3 seasons. Why? Because he had terrible teammates. That's not his fault. You can sit there and say, oh, you put LeBron on this team and it's going to be a playoff team. That's possible, but LeBron and Carmelo were 2 totally different animals. It's the same thing with Kevin Durant. I like to put LeBron above. Remember I told you guys this in a previous video. I like to put LeBron at the top of the top, and then I like to put players like Melo and KD at the second tier. And, the new guy was saying things like, oh, Carmelo isn't even in the same class as Kevin Durant. He's not even in the same class as LeBron James. Okay, well, I guarantee you in 2012, 2013, he was saying he's in the same class as them because everyone else was. Just because now Carmelo's not on a winning team, everyone wants to say he sucks and he's a has-been. How are you a has-been? How do you not care about winning when you're leading your team in scoring, rebounding, and assists? He's the only player to do that last season, and not many players have done that, which is ridiculous. He also leads them most games played, minutes per game, usage percentage, all of these things. And it's like, if he didn't care, like Stephen A. Smith said, if he didn't care about winning a championship, then he would just say, okay, F you guys. Give me my $100+ million contract. I'm going to take it, and I'm not even going to try. But since he got that $100 million plus contract, first of all, he was injured 1 season, so that wasn't really his fault. But anyway, first of all, when he got that $100 million contract, he's still putting up record numbers. And from an average basketball fan's perspective, now I'm not trying to say Stephen A. Smith's an average basketball fan. I don't know if he watches every Knicks game like I do, but you would know that the type of scorer Carmelo is when you don't have shooters around you, or when you don't have someone that's an offensive threat that can put pressure on the defense, your scoring numbers are going to go down. That's just the way it is. That's why LeBron needs shooters around him. That's why Carmelo needs shooters around him. Because now, when there's no defense, when there's no pressure on the defense can easily trap Carmelo, double team him, force him to pick up the dribble, triple team him on some occasion, force him to pick up the dribble and pass the ball or either turn the ball over. But most people don't think about that. So that's why his points went down. And if you think about it, his points didn't even go down that much. They went down 3-4 points? And he's getting double team, triple team. Are you kidding me? Are you come on, man? There's no way you can sit there and say he doesn't care about winning when, first of all, And another thing people say, this is not necessarily for Stephen A. Smith, this part, but another thing people say is, well, he doesn't care about winning, because if he did, he would have went to Chicago, and this is another reason why this is proof he doesn't care about winning. Well, The thing is, like, when you're loyal, it's weird because for Carmelo Anthony, he's getting hate for being loyal to the Knicks. But if it were anyone else, let's say if it were LeBron, if it were Kevin Durant, if it were, who's an all-time, Kobe Bryant, Dwyane Wade, D-Wade's sort of not in that situation because what happened with Pat Riley. But if you were any other NBA superstar to Melo's level, the top of the top, and, you leave a team to go win an easy championship, they're going to hate. But with Carmelo's case, they want him to leave. Why? Because it's the whole thing with the New York Knicks again. Everyone loves to hate on the New York Knicks. But if it were any other player in any other situation, they would get mad at that player and hate that player if they wanted to leave. But they want Carmelo to leave and not stay. You see what I'm trying to say? Like that doesn't make sense. So sometimes, basketball fans are a little hypocritical. I fall victim to that as well. Everyone falls victim to that. But, the situation is like, he's loyal to the Knicks. He wants to win in New York. He doesn't want to win anywhere else. And people are saying, oh, this is the icing on the cake. This is proof that Carmelo doesn't care about winning. How is this proof that he doesn't care about winning? All this shows is Carmelo Anthony understands that his chances of winning a championship are not the highest. And that no matter what, he's still going to be satisfied with himself because he knows he put the 100% effort into trying to win for the New York Knicks. I like to call Melo the unluckiest player in NBA history because he should have been drafted to Detroit. There's no way in hell anyone logical would take Darko Milicic over Carmelo Anthony, who just won the Syracuse national title. So things like that, it's like he was just unlucky his entire career. But at the end of the day, man, you can't sit there and say he doesn't care about winning because he obviously does. He obviously does. He's recruiting players. He's staying in New York. He wants to win in New York. That's the difference. It's like how LeBron wanted to win in Cleveland, how he came back. He wants to win in Cleveland. The same thing for Carmelo. It's the same exact scenario. Hopefully Carmelo can pull it off. I really hope he can as a New York Knicks fan and as a Carmelo Anthony fan. It's really crazy. We have Melo doing so much stuff for the community, so much positive things. But people like to tear him apart. He's so hated for no reason. When you have players like Stephen Curry, I have nothing against Curry, but he's charging $3,000 for a basketball camp for little kids. Are you kidding me? But you hate on Melo? Anyway, I'm out of here. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Peace.